up.
Fine. And I'm here to be the support if, yeah, to monitor the chat for questions, and also if they need some some help with technical issues. So
Okay,
I'll just be working in the
you're gonna
background.
be with the meeting the whole time then?
Yep. And once you're the host, can you please make me the co-host? So that,
Sure.
all right, thank you.
Yeah, I got a little, got 3 TAs in today, so it's a little busy.
Okay, Bob, your stream is live now, so I am making Phil your co-host and make you the host again, okay?
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, you made, Kevin made you co-host already, Phil.
Yep.
Great.
So that I could just, if I need to mute someone for something.
Sure.
Okay, Bob, so I'm going to be leaving as you already have 2 TAs with you.
Great.
Thank you for your time.
Okay.
Have a great day.
Well, we're letting some people in. We're recording. Great, fantastic. Okay, so some new people that I haven't seen before joining in the meeting. Hello, how are you?
Hello.
Hi.
Good afternoon.
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
We're gonna wait for a few people to join in, and then we'll get started. So I assume all of you are here for how to organize files and on your PC, huh?
Yes.
Okay, all right. So I think the world struggles with organizing files because I did this class, did this for a bunch of friends of mine and showed them how to do it, and they said, "Oh my gosh, that helps so much." But doesn't matter whether you use a Windows 10 PC or an Apple Mac PC. This class will actually work for both types of computers, which is a rare situation. It's rare. It's not that common for things to be similar, so similar across different computers, but they are very similar across Macs and Windows PCs. And I use both. So if you want to put in chat, for those of you that have chat open, just let me know whether you've got a Windows computer, just say Windows, or whether you've got a Mac. That way I'll have a pretty good idea of what people have coming into the meeting here. So Windows, okay, Sandy, thanks. Okay, Windows, Mac, right? Windows. And a lot of people think of PCs as Windows automatically, but Macs are PCs as well. So, but they're different from tablets and they're different from smartphones. That's the main difference, is tablets and smartphones organize files very differently.
Question, I can't hear you.
You can't, who is that speaking?
I can't hear anything.
That's Cynthia. Cynthia, we've got some assistants on our call with us today. It could be that your speakers are not working, but or other things are going on with your computer. So that's unfortunately, that's something that maybe one of our TAs can help you with. If you put something in chat, they can maybe help you out with that.
Yeah, but she's gone, I think.
Oh, she's gone now. Okay. All right. Disappeared fast on us. Okay. All right. Okay, so we'll give people about 30 more seconds. So I'm just curious how many of you have tried to organize your files or folders on your PC ever? Okay, anybody tried any attempts? Jeannie, you've made some attempts at it? Okay.
Excuse me, can everybody else see a gallery view? Because I can't get it.
Yeah, yeah, we can all see a gallery view on our meeting. So are you on, if you're on a laptop or
Yes, I'm on a laptop. Yeah.
in the upper right-hand corner of your Zoom window, you've got something called View.
Yes, and it's not showing me that, so it's not your fault. I'll keep trying.
Okay, all
I'll
right,
sign in again.
all right. It's usually the standard view that comes up unless something's gotten changed on it.
I know. I was just on a meeting. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to share my screen and go through a few introductory slides and help explain a few things. If you think of questions that you're wondering about organizing files on your PC, put them in chat. Our TAs will help me make sure we cover all the questions while we do chat. We've got it's kind of an interesting process organizing stuff on PCs. I've been using computers for a really long time. And so I've been in the computer industry. And Phil put a note in chat. So if you feel free to put something in chat if you need some help. I live in Seal Beach, California now, but I was born in Chicago. And my dad was a school teacher for the city of Chicago school district. And we would take Route 66 every summer vacation because teachers got summer vacations. And we'd go visit my grandmother in Los Angeles. And I said, well, when I want to go to California. And so I went west when I went to college and met my wife here in college and stayed out here on the West Coast for most of my career. I have worked and lived abroad, but I've worked in the technology industry. I've owned my own internet company. I've done training. I've published books. We're going to take a look at some of the folders and ways I organize folders and files to make it useful for you. And we're going to talk about trying to make this technology of files a little simpler to understand. Okay, so for some reason, my screen wants to advance when I slide my mouse around, so I may have to back up once in a while. Okay, so Get Set Up, for those of you know, we help you learn how to do things. So we may have some suggestions that come up from class. I always seem to find somebody that knows a good way of doing something in class. You can request a recording. We are recording live as well. We're live streaming. For those of you that are joining by live streaming, hello, everyone. And we do encourage you to set up an account with getsetup.io and register for a class so you can participate and ask questions and get help from our wonderful staff of TAs. And even though we might mention some products, we aren't paid to promote anything. We just might mention things for the purpose of training activity. Okay, so let's take a look at our agenda. You're going to learn a little bit of vocabulary. Okay, this is like a language class in a way. All of our computer classes are a little bit like a language class. You're going to learn some terminology, and you're going to hopefully, if I do a good job, which I will try my best to do, you'll understand what something like a file is, what a folder is, and what a drive is. Okay, and we'll talk about the ways you can use names for things in filed and folders, and some tools you can use to search and sort files and folders on your PC. So I'm wondering if anybody's got any specific challenges or questions or anything they're hoping to get answered about sorting and using files on their PCs. Anybody have anything they're hoping to see if we'll cover today? Kathleen, you got your hand up.
Yes. I have a terrible time moving things into the proper files and then finding them later. I have the 365 and the top where it says recent folders seems to be a duplicate of the bottom, and it's all over the place. I don't know what I do. I put the things in the wrong place. I'm trying to find something. I don't know whether to move it up the file or move it over to the left, if that makes any sense.
It does. It does. I mean, a lot of people struggle with, where did I put that? You know, So it's and computers have changed over the years. They sometimes think they're making it easy for you, but sometimes they make it harder. Okay. So I understand completely. Jeannie, you've got your hand up. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm just looking for some best practices. I try to organize my files and folders and drives, but I keep moving things around, and then there's a lot of things that are out there that it's hard to clean up because there's just too many different places.
There can be. It's kind of like, since we're spending so much more time on our computers, being able to find things quicker is helpful, and knowing where they are is helpful too. Okay. All right. So let's talk about some things here. And any other questions?
Yeah. Carol Scott has a question here, and she said, "I forget where I put the files. How do I search for them?"
Okay. We're going to take a look at the search tools that are built into both Windows and Macs, because surprisingly, they both work very, very similarly. And so a lot of things work the same way across both of them. How do you get files from an external drive? Okay, we'll try and look at that. I'm not sure if I can do that, but I will try my best to show you that. But you have to understand what a drive is first. Okay, and that's helpful to know. What is this thing called a drive? Well, it's something physical. It's actually a physical piece of hardware. So on a disk drive, you have a physical piece of hardware, and you can have one or more drives. It's actually a piece of technology. It's a little box that goes into your computer, and it stores information. It holds electronic data, and the electronic data is always in the form of what's called a file. And you can organize files into what are called folders. So if you think of it like a file cabinet, the drive is your cabinet. It's the case, it's the box. And what you have in it are folders, and then you have individual documents or pieces of information in each folder. Okay. So organizing things in life is not much different than organizing things on a computer. You have to remember where you put it first, right? And that always helps. But if you know where you put it, then it makes it easier to find. And if you gave it a name that makes it easier to find, it makes it easier to find too. I don't know if we'll talk about backing up. That's more maintenance types of things. But if you do use the cloud, the things are out there too. A cloud can be another disk drive. Think of a cloud drive as just another disk drive, only instead of being inside of your computer physically, it's attached via the internet to your computer. It's just an attached disk drive to your computer. That's all the cloud is. So Apple has iCloud, Microsoft has OneDrive, Google has Google, Drive. They're all just external disk drives. I think I got all of them on my computer, so we'll take a look at them. Okay. So those are some things. Files, disk drives, folders, files. They are literally like your physical file cabinet if you have a file cabinet at home. Okay. The drive is the physical box. And inside of it, you've got folders, and inside the folders, you've got files. And you can have some files that aren't inside folders too, can't you? That's possible, right? So you see, you know a lot of this already. Okay. Macs give their disk drives names, whereas Windows gives their disk drives letters. The primary disk drive on a Windows computer is called the C drive, letter C. Okay. And the primary drive on a Mac is called the Macintosh hard drive, okay? Any external drive will have a name on a Mac. Any external drive on a Windows computer will be assigned a letter. Windows likes to assign letters to computer names. Hold on just a second, I have to shut a window here. There we go. Okay. So you may wonder why you don't have an A or a B drive on your Windows computer. It's because the A drive was the letter that Microsoft reserved for a 5¼ inch floppy disk. Anybody have any of those left around? And the B drive is the letter that was reserved for a 3½ inch removable disk drive. Anybody have any of those around? But whenever you add a new drive to your computer, an external drive, like on my Mac, it shows Elements and it shows a backup drive. It shows up on my PC as well. It is automatically found by your computer's operating system. So if you have a cloud drive, it will be found and listed in your list of drives on your Explorer tool or your Finder tool, depending on which computer you use. And I'll show you where those are. So drives are just physical pieces of hardware that hold information. That's all they are. Any questions about that? Okay, let's move on to adding on to this. What are files? Files are pieces of information. They're pieces of data. Remember when, well, you don't probably remember when, but at one time, the only way a book was created was with calligraphy. And I actually have a page from a book of hours that I bought from the 1400s. I love antique books. And at one time, if you wanted to get a book, you'd go to a monastery or you'd hire a calligrapher and in the 14th century and you'd say, I want a book. Well, only the very wealthiest people could afford those things, right? And then this thing called the printing press was invented that used removable type. That meant you had little pieces, little letters that a typesetter could move around and move in different places. Well, it's kind of interesting. I watched the show that said, why did printing take off so much more in Europe than it did in the Arab world? And in Europe, they made printed books look a lot like books that were written by calligraphers, whereas in Arabic, the printed type styles didn't lend itself very well to removable letters. In Latin, every letter has a specific shape and size that's kind of square. So you can make an alphabet out of Latin really easily with individual letters, whereas in Arabic, it's a little bit, in the world, it was a little bit harder. So printed type did not take off as fast in other parts of the world as it did in Europe. But is a book any different if it's printed as opposed to being handwritten by a calligrapher? No, it's still a book. It's still data. So is a book any different if it's in a file than if it's in printed pages? It's still a book. I don't know how many of you use Kindle for books. Anybody read Kindle books or library books? Where's the book? Okay, where is the book? It's a file. It's a piece of data in a computer file. So files have information. A file can be a lot of different types of things, depending on the kind of file. So you have text files, like Word files or Kindle books. You have images like photos or illustrations. You might have video files. You might have a music file or a recorded book like on Audible or something like that. And Maybe you have files for a specific application, like say PowerPoint or something, or Excel or something that's a file like that. So there are different types of files, okay, depending on what application you use to open it, but they're all data. Even web pages are made up of files because files is how we move things around. I'm not sure if I can answer that question about Amazon, Mary, but we'll see. Maybe after class we can get to it, okay? Okay, so any questions about files? Okay, your computer is smart enough, usually in your phone, you know, when you can play music on your phone, you can play video, you can watch, you can display photos on your phone, on your computer, on your laptop, on your desktop, on your tablet. Your computer has applications built into it that will open many, many different types of files. Okay. So you may be creating files. You might be getting files as attachments in emails, but they're all files, okay?
Bob,
Yeah,
um, I want to know how to put a file or a folder in the iCloud. I don't know how to do that.
we might not get around to that today, but there is a great class on Get Set Up on using iCloud. But if you think of iCloud as a separate drive on your computer, you can literally drag and drop files into iCloud, into OneDrive, or into Google Drive if you want to. We're going to show you the files systems in both types of computers, so it might make it a little bit easier to see.
Thank you.
Now, here's another way to think about file locations, okay? Let's imagine you've got a bunch of cash, you know, and you want to keep it safe. Well, one place you could put it is in your mattress, right? So you could stash a bunch of cash in your mattress. That's kind of the equivalent of keeping things in your local disk drive on your computer. It's right with you all the time. It's there, it's accessible, you can get to it. So if you need to make a withdrawal, you just go to your mattress, pull it out of your mattress, and you got cash in your hand, right? Okay, that's one way to store money. Another way to store money is to put it into a bank, right? So if you put money into a bank, you put it into a bank like Chase or Wells Fargo or your local credit union. And then if you want to get it out, you go to that bank and get it out. And then you can withdraw cash from that bank. Okay, so think of file locations as just different places you stash stuff. Okay, files can be in folders contained in a disk drive, or you can have files just kind of sitting out there without being in any folder whatsoever. And you can, that doesn't mean there is anything wrong with that. It just means they are not in a folder. Folders are simply ways to collect files together and put them in a folder, just like the folder in your file cabinet. Some computers, Macs and PCs, both come with what are called default folders. This word default, the word default means that if you don't do anything else, this is what's going to happen. That's what the word default means. So there are default folders typically for documents. There are default folders for photos. There are default folders typically for movies. And there's probably a default folder somewhere for downloads, okay? Default folders, they're just folders. Most everything we do tends to be in documents. Most photos we take will end up in photos, and movies end up typically in movie folders. Okay, your system's just going to organize that as all. And somebody asked a question about, do files stay on your computer forever unless you remove them? Yes. Yeah, if you create a file on your computer, it will stay there until you delete it. And Meyer asked, what's the purpose of a PDF? Well, that's another type of file. It's a file that PDF stands for portable document format. So let me try and show you something here. A PDF stands for portable document file, okay? Or format. I'm not sure if it's file or format. Okay. Now, a PDF file requires an application that can open up PDF types of files. Okay, and most computers come with an application that will do it. The purpose of a PDF file is that it stays the same format no matter what computer or device you view it on. And so not everybody has Microsoft Word. Not everybody uses Apple Pages. Not everybody uses something, another word processor. So PDFs were designed to make it easy for people to view files across different devices. These computer people are pretty creative, aren't they? Okay. Sorting tips. Okay, this is where you start to think about how can I organize things and how can I sort them? Your computer folder system has built-in tools to let you sort things by numeric order, by alphabetical order, by the type of file, or even by the size of the file and the date it was added, created, or even modified. You have ability to sort your tool by that. Seeing that nice little sorting tool, to kind of organize things. Let me go back to that again. So if you just want to sort your files and you got a bunch of collections of stuff, you can use your computer system in the file management tools that come built in to help sort things for you automatically. And it all organizes everything. If you want to, you don't have to, but it's there, it's available for you. And I'm going to show how it works. Both Macs and Windows have the ability for you to search by files. I don't know if you're a big fan of long file names on a computer, but I am. I try and create a file name that will make it easy for me to find something. And then I can search for it on my computer. So if you have a file name like, a tax, document from 2010, you could search for 2010, or you could search for tax, and it would pull up a list of files that match that search. In Windows, it's in the lower left corner next to your Windows Start button. You can search for files. And on Macs, it's in the upper right at the top where the magnifying glass is. You can click and do search. But these tools give you the ability to search everywhere on your computer to find something. And so giving your files names that help you remember what's in them will help you search for things. So anything that's tax related, put the word tax in the file name. Anything that's vacation related, put the name of the vacation, or other systems too that will help you understand what it is you want to do and where you want to go. But you can search. We'll search my computer for some files. Naming files is probably one of the best things you can do to make it easier to find things. You can have up to 256 characters in a file name. So if you don't have to let the computer name it automatically, but you can create a name for any file on your computer. You usually have the ability to rename files as well. But you can use really, really long names. That includes spaces. And lots of times people use dashes or underlines. but you can use letters and numbers in any file name you want to create. So that helps you from a standpoint of naming your files in the first place. Will give you an easier way to find them. Alphabetical is good. You can put a description of what it is. Photo of the Eiffel Tower while I was in Paris. Lots of room for a file name like that. Or my dog when she was, a puppy at 2 years old. Or where you took, where you have something. Think of things that help you remember what it is the file is about. Okay, so it's poetry. I had a poet in one of my morning classes that writes poetry. She's getting a new computer, and I said just the title of your poem, or when you did it, or how you did it. You can use numbers. Numbers are good for priorities. If you want to use a priority system, or if you want to use a sequence of things, numbers helps. And you can use the date. You can use a date format like the year, the month, the date, or you can use month, date, year, whatever makes sense for you. It will help you find things, because let's say you revise a document, but you want to save the old one and the new one. Give it a different date. When did you last change it? Some applications will automatically do that, but you can also manually handle it as well. So these are just things like if you were looking in your file cabinet drawer, you would have things in alphabetical order and order by date or year. Maybe you have a file for 2021, a file for 2020, a file for 2019, or maybe you have a file for important bank documents. These are just the way you use files on your computer shouldn't be any different than the way you organize anything else on that's important to you. These are just some systems to help you out. Okay, so any questions about approach, what files, folders, and other things look like before we go take a look at some things on my desktop? Anybody have any questions? Mary, are you speaking? I can't hear you if you had a question. Just unmute.
I'm sorry, yes. If you put the file into a folder and then you type the find folder or find file, will it find it if it's in a folder?
It will search anywhere, including in folders. Right.
Oh, thank you.
It'll search anywhere. Okay. All right. Let me get a few things set up here. I'm going to show you Windows first. Okay. I'm going to show you, and then I'm going to show you a Mac. And they're both very, very similar. Okay. So let me share my Windows desktop here. And now you should see my Windows desktop. Now, on the Windows desktop, there is a tool called File Explorer. That's an icon that's in your taskbar that's standard when you're in Windows. And you've got a search box here on the left, on the lower left. Clicking on File Explorer will open up the file view of everything on your computer. So if I click on that, it opens up everything. Okay. And I got a lot of stuff here. Okay. It shows you something called quick access, things you use frequently, downloads, pictures, but I also have my iCloud drive on my Mac here. I also have OneDrive available. And then I have things that are on this PC. Remember, your OneDrive is simply another storage device, only it's not connected physically on your desk. It's actually out on the internet. Okay. And then you've got things in folders. These are folders as well. Okay. So typically Microsoft now these are additional hard drives I've got as well. Okay. So you have a list of drives and a list of folders on the left, and you've got views on the right of things that you might have looked at, things like recent files, things that I've downloaded, things that I've worked on, things that I've watched. Okay, so this is a Word document that I have, and it tells you where it's located. Now I'm going to try and bring up a folder that I use a lot called Books. Let's see if I can find it here. Let me make sure I've got it available. There we go. It's in Documents. Most of the time you'll keep things in Documents. And I have all of my folders organized in Documents here. Okay. I have them, some are by application. So some applications like Zoom creates a folder on your computer automatically, and that's where chats get saved. Okay. Okay. So if your File Explorer icon should be on your taskbar on Windows. Okay. You don't have it on Macs. This is for Windows. I'm going to show you Macs because it's a little bit different. Macs use something called Finder, which essentially does the same thing, only Windows uses File Explorer. So that's what they call the file system. Okay, great. Usually it's in the taskbar unless somebody has taken it out. Okay. Okay. So, and it's always available to you. So on Zoom, for example, if I want to see what's in this folder, I can double click it and it brings up everything that's in the folder. And it shows all of the chat sessions that I've used. Now I can move these columns and make them bigger. And I'm going to make this as big as I can on the screen here for us, okay? So each of these column headings, if you click your mouse right in between them, it's a little tricky to get to, but you have to have a steady hand, but you can make the columns wider to look for things. So if I want to say, gosh, I want to look for the chat in Zoom, one way I could do it is I could do this, as I could go to my Zoom folder and click on things and find it. So here's what was done automatically. Now Zoom automatically gives each file a date organized by 2021-04, April 1st, right? And so this is the file that's been created automatically. But if I want to see the earlier morning one, it shows this, and it uses a time scheme. And what it says when I hover over it, it says file folder. Let me hover it, and it says files, meeting, saved, chat. Okay. So if I want to open up this folder, I double click it, and there is the chat. And it tells me that it's meeting, save, chat, and it's a text document. So now what it's doing is it's putting in a little path at the top here. Technically, this is called, and it's an interesting name, it's called a breadcrumb. You know, with Little Red, who is it? Little Red Riding Hood, or I forget, Hansel and Gretel, they went into the forest, right? And they dropped breadcrumbs, you know, right? I'm thinking fairy tales here, but that's where the term came. So if I wanted to go back to Zoom, I just can move my mouse over here and go back to the Zoom folder. Or I can go back to Documents, or I can go back to this PC. This is a little series of breadcrumbs to tell you where you have gone. So I want to click on this chat, and my computer has a built-in tool that lets me open up text documents. So I can see it. So if there was something I wanted to find in chat from a meeting, I would just go to my Zoom folder and find it. Now let's find a folder. I don't know if this is going to work or not. Let's say Windows 10 settings. I don't know if that's a good one. Let's talk about Windows 10 basics here. Okay, let's see. If I want to find this folder, I don't know if I can do it or not, but let's see. I'm going to go all the way back to my File Explorer. In fact, I'm going to close this. Okay, and I'm going to see if I can find Windows 10 Basics. I don't know if it'll find it or not. Okay, so it's basically bringing up a bunch of information. It starts on the web. It shows me different things. Here's a PowerPoint file that I have using this Windows 10 Basics. If I double click on this, it should give me the ability to access it right away. And it tells me how I want to open it. If I have a PowerPoint file, I want to open it with PowerPoint typically. If I named a book that my wife had written called Woofer Tweeter Experiment. So if I type in Woofer, the name of the title, it brings up things. It brings up documents on this PC. So here's the document that I can open up if I want to, and it tells me by hovering over it a little bit of information, and then I can open it if I want to. It doesn't matter whether it's on OneDrive or something else if I want to. So I can open it up and let's see, it looks like I've got permissions I have to set up. There we go. Okay, so this is a book that got read. It opens it up in Word right away. Okay, so I have the ability to find things in different ways. Now, one of the interesting things about files is that you can modify how you view them. Okay, so you'll see it. There's a name of the file here. If I want to rename this, I can just click on it. And if I click in the name, it gives me the ability to edit all the text. I have a little cursor that I can do here. I can say web browsers get set up. Okay, and then I hit the return key. It gives me the ability to change the file name just by clicking on the file twice. I can bring up my cursor and edit the information. It tells me a couple of things too, when it was modified and the type of folder. Okay, so these are all file folders, and it tells me the size. Okay, and I have a search tool right in here where I can search in this folder right away. So if I wanted to find something about abroad, and well, I have to spell it right. Okay, so if you don't spell right, that doesn't help you too. I can type abroad and it brings up different documents that I've got here on Zoom for my folders in Zoom. So you've got search tools in here. You've got search tools on here. Now, a couple of other things that are helpful. I'm going to go to a different folder. Documents is typically where you'll find things, but there's oftentimes a download folder, a music folder, pictures, and videos. Those are some standards. Okay, so what'll happen, Anne's got a good question. That's what I'm taking you to. Here's where I keep my books, and I'm going to open up a folder called Blogging for Fun and Profit. So my breadcrumb says on this PC, in the Documents folder, in the Books folder, I can keep folders within folders. So if you're an organization nut, you can go crazy with organizing stuff on your PC. And then I've got a folder called Blogging for Fun and Profit. Okay, this is the old edition. This is a cover, but you can see I've used some dates here, 2021-01, 2021-02, to help me keep track of when I did it. But I use the same title, I just use a different date and time. Now, this folder has some things that show up as PDFs. Okay, so I have the ability to go up to the top here, and I'm sorry, it's really small on my computer. I can't make this bigger. I tried to. I have the ability to do something called View. View gives me the ability to change how I look at folders and files. Okay, this is my navigation view here. It tells me all of my drives and top level folders. I can preview the documents as well. So if I want to click on preview pane and I click on something, many times sometimes it'll show a preview, sometimes it won't, just depends on what it is. There's a picture, so it shows me what's in it. So you can preview things if you like that. These are options that let you change how you view things. Now this view right here is really cool because I like a list view, but not everybody likes a list view. Maybe it's easier for you to find something if you have it with icons like this. Okay, this shows you different icons for the file. If it's a PDF file, it'll say PDF. If it's a picture, it'll show you a picture. If it's a Word document, it'll show you it as a Word document.
Oh, well, I'm not really any of that, but I was hoping that maybe.
I'm sorry, Desi, do you have a question? I couldn't hear that too well.
Never gonna be able to take away the pain I caused you, and I will never forgive myself.
Okay, I'm not sure. I can't quite understand that, you, Desi. I'm not sure what's going on with you. If you put something in chat, then maybe I can answer it for you because I couldn't hear you too well. Okay.
I think she got a call.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, Bob, I got a couple of questions here.
Sure.
Well, first question is from Sandy, and she said, I don't want to pay for the Microsoft Word and want to try using Google Docs. How can I get them on my desktop?
Google Docs is something you would get from your Google account. Google will automatically save things in their cloud for you. You have to export anything you want from Google to your desktop, to your computer. And there's a great class on Google Docs that explains, but you have to export it. But Google Docs will automatically save things in Google's cloud drive. Okay, so exporting is how you do it that way. That's something that they go over in the Google Docs class. Okay, so we talked about search. So Sandy, I see that. Okay, Mary, how do I get files from an external drive? Is that the next one? Okay, your drives are all listed on the left here in your Explorer column. So if you have an external drive, it would be listed here on the left. And so you can literally view these, and you can actually open up another File Explorer view if you want to. Okay. Backing up, backup's more of an operational procedure that you would do in Windows or on a Mac. So I don't know if we'll have time to go to that. Can't find your books on Amazon. Well, Amazon stores all your books in Kindle, which is another application, not necessarily on your files on your computer. Okay. Do files stay on your computer? Yes. We talked about PDFs, File Explorer, moving a file. Well, if you wanted to move a file, let me go to my documents here and go to Zoom. Okay, if I want to find this, I want to move this from organizing how to buy your next Windows PC. I want to move that to my OneDrive documents. I just click on it and drag it over, and it's copied here automatically. Okay, so you can right click and you can cut it and paste it somewhere else too. So right clicking gives you a whole list of options for your files as well. Rename, we talked about that. Just click on the name twice and it gives you the ability to edit a file. And that's a good question. You have a file extension. Let's see, I'm going to check this box here that says file extensions here and see if I can see things around this. Okay, so if I click on this file, it shows me it's a text document. It's called a .txt. anything in a file name after the dot is called a file extension. And that tells your computer what application to use to open that file. So if you have a file on your computer and you do not have the right application to open it, Windows and Macs will say, hey, which application do you want to use to open it? There are some standard settings that come with Windows and Macs that show you what's available to use it. So text files, video files, graphic files, document files are typically available to open. And it's rare that you'll have a file that your computer can't open, but if you don't, that means you need a specific application to open it that might not be possible. So outdated drivers, that's really more about managing Windows as opposed to files. That's more of an operational task on maintaining your PC. And finding books on Kindle, you would have to go to the Amazon Kindle website for that. That really is not related at all to files and managing files. Okay, so let me show you a couple of the other views. So I can show files by extra large icons, by large icons, or medium icons, or small. I just have to hover over, and if I click on that, my folder will be displayed in that list. I can show a list view, details, tiles, or even the content if it can open up the content. Now, there's also the ability, let me go to my Zoom folder here because it's a good folder. I have a sort by function. So if I think, gee, when did I look at that? When did I create it? I can sort by title, and it'll organize them by title instead of by date. I can go by name because Zoom gives me names here automatically, or I can sort by date modified. So the sorting tools are there to give you the ability to sort your files no matter what you're looking at. So whether you're looking at folders or files, you can change the view and you can sort automatically. So they give you the ability to do those types of things right away in your documents folders automatically. And then we go back, if I want to go back to documents, I can just go back on my my breadcrumb to documents, or I can go back to this PC and it shows me my folders that are created automatically and my disk drives that I have that are available to me. And that's basically what File Explorer does for you, is it gives you the ability to do things. The C drive is where you're going to keep most everything. Now, search will search all drives at once for you automatically. Okay, and as far as updating drivers, if you're getting Windows updates from Microsoft, we cover that in the Windows 10 settings class, you'll get updated drivers automatically. So now this is Windows, and so Windows has File Explorer built in, okay, automatically. So anytime you want to get to it, and it'll show views by different documents you've looked at, and it'll show you where it's located. This is on OneDrive, this is on this PC. So I can view I can automatically see where things are located if I want to in File Explorer. So this shows everything that's on OneDrive. I can use this little arrow to expand it. So if I have documents on OneDrive, here are some documents I keep on OneDrive. Okay. And there's a great class that Wade teaches on OneDrive that explains how to keep things on OneDrive. And if you keep it on OneDrive, it also acts as a backup. OneDrive is Microsoft's tool for using storage in the cloud. Now I'm going to close Windows here for a second and get you back to my gallery. And for those of you that have a Mac, it's surprisingly similar, okay? It's surprisingly similar on a Mac. Okay, let me show you my full screen here because I want to show you some things on my desktop that I have to show you. So I'm going to move my gallery view over here. I'm going to minimize this, get rid of this, get rid of this. So I have a few things. So on a Mac desktop, there is a tool called Finder. At the bottom of my screen, instead of finding File Explorer on Macs, you just do something called Finder. It does exactly the same thing that File Explorer does on a PC. So it will show me recent documents. I can look at my documents folder, and it shows a list of folders, and I can look at Zoom, and here are my Zoom folders. Okay, I have the ability to drag and expand these folder columns if I want to. And instead of having the menus right at the top, it gives me the ability to change the views at the upper left-hand corner here. So I'm going to make this a little bigger. And if I look at the view options here in a Mac, it lets me view things differently as icons. I can change it to an icon view or as a gallery if I want to, or in columns if I want to, or just as a list, which is my preferred way. I double click on it. It brings up the actual conversation. If I want to edit it, I click on it and just hover over it, and it lets me change the name, chat today, for example. And on Macs, instead of having the search tool at the lower left, the search tool is at the upper right. I'm going to draw an arrow there. It's at the upper right, this little magnifying little search icon here. So if I click on that search icon, it brings up what is, Macs call it spotlight search. But if I want to search for something called woofer, I can just type that and it'll hopefully search for things. Okay, there it goes, found things, that files that had the name woofer in the title, in the name of the file automatically. And so I can find my files very similarly on a Mac. Here's the list of folders I've got on the left. There's my drives. There's OneDrive, Google Drive, and iCloud Drive, all available to me. And so the drives are on the left, just like in Windows Explorer. So there's not a lot of difference. Now, if I'm looking at files here, I do have the ability to change my view. There are some icons here that give me the ability to change the views right away. And so I can change things to icons or as a list. I have the ability to get information about the folders, and I have the ability to sort them by different ways. So both Macs and Windows have tools that give you the ability to do those types of things. They're just located in different places. Okay, so files are a little bit of an experiment. So a driver versus a drive. A driver is a piece of the operating system that communicates with a piece of hardware. It's like when you use your keyboard or your monitor or your mouse with your computer, your operating system has something called a driver that is the part of the operating system that communicates with that piece of hardware. They're all updated as part of Windows updates. They're all updated as part of Apple Mac updates. Dana has a question. Should the local drive be cleaned out? Windows 10 has tools that automatically clean up your hard drive for you. In the Windows 10 settings class, we go into some of the maintenance functions that are built into Windows. Macs automatically do it as well. So there's a lot of things that are available for you there. Okay. So Bill, we got any other questions that have come up?
I think that should be it.
Okay. So the important thing is to understand that your files are in a folder or they can be on a drive. So files go into folders, folders are on your drive. A drive is something physical, or it can be out in the cloud. The cloud classes on OneDrive, on Google Drive, and on iCloud are really helpful. That will explain more about, but think of it as just a file cabinet you've got somewhere out on the internet. That's all it is. It's just files that you have out on the internet. You can name your files. Naming your files with a name that gives you a way to find them is helpful, because then you can search. So think about using the word tax in anything tax related, or medical in anything medical related, or family in anything family related. Start using a system and go in and rename files. It'll help you, and give them a date and time. That helps you as well. You can see how Zoom automatically gives a date and time for every Zoom chat session, and it makes it easy. Oh, what was that chat from 3 weeks ago? Oh yeah, I remember. That happened in February. Late February is when we had that session. So those are some tools. Organizing files means sometimes you got to go back and organize files that you might not have had ready to utilize. Okay, so they're helpful to make sense out of. So let me find my slide presentation here and see if I can get that up and running again. Okay, so I think I closed a window. So I want to just give you the ability to understand that there are some things that you can utilize that will help you out in terms of making sure that you've got presentations available, the files that you can use in any location that you might want to, tools that are available to help you organize and use files. There we go. Things that are going to be helpful for you to moving forward on files. You're going to get a handout, little notes after this, but developing a system, if you don't do anything, the default, anything you create are going to go into documents. Use the sorting and searching tools on your PC. They really are trying to make technology easier to use. And I think the best thing is if you can make a habit of using a naming scheme. And if you come up with some good ones, let us know. Okay. So those are tools that will help you work with files. And we do have some classes. The OneDrive Basics and Windows 10 settings will help you get a better understanding of technology. I kind of call, learning technology having been thrown into the deep end of the pool, and you got to learn to swim. But learning a little bit at a time helps. Okay, I learned ballroom dancing, but it took me 5 years, to get to where I really felt comfortable with a couple of different styles. So an hour is a good start, but I encourage you to keep on learning and keep on practicing things. Okay. So any last questions before we wrap up with organizing files and folders? Okay, give it a try, practice a little bit, give your files a great name that'll help you remember where they're located. Okay. Okay. Right. Bye-bye, everybody. Have a good day. Take care.